Last winter, I tested 2 sets of winter tires on my 2022 Ioniq 5 all-wheel drive. Those were the Michelin X-Ice and the Bridgestone Blizzaks. These are the 2 most popular winter tires here in the United States, and I kind of knew going into this that the tires would be relatively similar and both would give a lot of really good winter performance, but what I was most interested in was efficiency and how that would be affected by the tires. So fast forward 8 months, it's now October 2024, and I know a lot of you are going to start looking at getting winter tires soon. So if you guys want to find out what I think about these 2 sets of tires, then stay tuned. Hey everybody, it's the Ioniq guy. If this is your first time to the channel, welcome. I'm Corbin. I cover all things Hyundai, Kia, Genesis, EV related. Now I will start out by saying Michelin and Bridgestone did send me these tires for free, but I am not beholden to either of them. They have not asked to see these reviews. I literally emailed them and said, hey, you want to send me some tires for a review video? And they said, sure, here you go. And I haven't heard from them since. Now, I am not a tire expert, but I have driven on winter tires in the past. Before I got my Ioniq 5 in 2022, with my Mazda CX-5 during the winter months, I would always put on a set of Firestone Winter Force tires. The reason I had those is I got a really good deal on them on a set of rims for a Toyota Highlander, and I was able to just throw those on the car, have a separate set of wheels so I wouldn't have to mount and dismount them every winter. But I really liked those tires and they held up really well. I would typically run them from about Thanksgiving till probably early March, and then the temperatures during the day would usually start getting pretty high, and you don't want to drive winter tires when the temperature goes above like 45, 50, 55 degrees because they are just going to wear out super quick. They are not designed for driving in high temperatures. And that kind of leads me to my first takeaway with the Michelin versus the Bridgestone Blizzaks. So we'll start out with dry performance. So a lot of the time with winter tires, you're just driving on dry roads. You're not necessarily seeing snow and ice on a daily basis. So for the majority of the time, you want a tire that's going to feel really good on dry, cold pavement. And for me, I think the Michelin X-Ice performed much better here. The rubber compound used for the treads on the Michelin X-Ice seemed to be a little bit firmer versus the Bridgestone, and you can really feel it when driving on dry asphalt. The Bridgestone definitely just feel a little bit more mushy, especially when you're taking turns. And for a car like the Ioniq 5 that already has a pretty soft suspension, it just elevates that mushiness to another level. So in terms of dry performance, I'm definitely going to give it to the Michelin X-Ice. Now, I was really worried going into this that we weren't going to get enough snow in the wintertime for me to do any testing with these tires, but it worked out perfectly. We had, I think, exactly 2 snowstorms last winter, and the first one I went out with the Michelin X-Ice, and the second one I went out with the Bridgestone Blizzaks. So that couldn't have worked out any better. Now, I will say I do live in a relatively populated area, so the roads are usually relatively cleared for the most part. I would say that the plows are coming through at least every 45 minutes tops. So at the most, you're usually going to see maybe 2 inches of snow on the road, maybe 3, worst case scenario. So it wasn't like going through super deep snow, but it was what is typical for this area in central Connecticut. Talking about winter performance. So in my testing, I really don't see a huge difference between the Blizzaks and the X-Ice. Stopping distances are pretty similar. And slamming the brakes. Getting up to speed from a stop is pretty similar. So there's punching it from a stop at a stop sign. I did forget to do this test with the Blizzaks where I stop on a 10% incline and then accelerate up it. I did it with the X-Ice and it was pretty impressive. Let's stop completely on the hill. Okay, so with no momentum, we're able to get up it, albeit slowly. Okay. Handling in the corners is pretty similar. They're both pretty grippy. I am going to be careful around here though, because there is a pond on either side of the road right here. so this is a pretty tight turn. Took it like a champ. Wow. Oh yeah. Talking about driving in the rain, winter tires don't excel here. All seasons are going to be much better in the rain. So if you do live somewhere where your winter is mostly rainy, probably sticking with all seasons is going to be fine. So I think what you guys are really here for today is efficiency numbers. And that was the whole reason I really wanted to test these tires. So let's start with the Bridgestone Blizzaks. I put 866 miles on them, averaging 2.4 miles per kilowatt hour, and that was over 20 hours and 42 minutes. I'm not going to say that that number is accurate because that number will count if I am sitting in my car recording videos with it powered on. So I'm going to guess that the average speed is probably higher than 41. And if you do the math there, that equates to an average speed of about 42 miles per hour. Now, if you multiply that efficiency number by the usable capacity of the car's battery of about 74 kilowatt hours, you're looking at an overall range of about 178 miles from 100% to 0%. So I think this is a good example of just how inefficient these cars can be in the wintertime, because during the summer months, I average about 3.5 miles per kilowatt hour in my Ioniq 5. And if you extrapolate that, that's a range of about 259 miles. So your winter range is going to drop by about a third. All right, so on to the Michelin X-Ice. I did 779.4 miles, averaging 2.6 miles per kilowatt hour, and my average speed was about 41 miles per hour. Again, I think that number is low. So if you multiply that efficiency by 74 kilowatt hours, that gives you an estimated range of about 192.4 miles from 100% to 0%. So that's a pretty significant difference. You're talking about 15 miles from 100 to 0, and that could be the difference between getting to a charger and not getting to a charger. I think most of this efficiency is going to be due to the fact that those Michelin X-Ice have that harder tread compound, so they are going to have lower rolling resistance versus the Bridgestone Blizzaks. Now, in terms of tire noise, it seems to track with the softer compound of the Blizzaks, leading to more tire noise being induced into the cabin of the car. And with the Michelin X-Ice, they're a little bit quieter, but both tires are still louder than the all seasons that come with the Ioniq 5. And typically with winter tires, as the temperature rises outside, the tires get stickier and the noise level does increase substantially. I unfortunately drove from Hartford to Boston a couple years ago with my winter tires on. It was a freak warm day in the middle of winter. I think it was like 60 degrees out, and they were so horrendously loud, it drove me crazy. And beyond just the noise, I probably added a ton of wear to those tires. So for that reason, I'm recommending the Michelin X-Ice versus the Bridgestone Blizzak, but a lot of you probably really like the Blizzaks, so you might stick with those. The price difference between these two tires is really very little. So looking at Tire Rack right now, the Michelin X-Ices are going for $234 per tire for Ioniq 5, and for Bridgestone Blizzaks, $217. That's only a $68 premium for the Michelin X-Ice. And that price difference might be made up by the fact that it sounds like, from what I read online, that the Michelin X-Ice don't wear out as fast as the Bridgestone Blizzaks. So that's something to consider as well. If you want a tire that might last an extra season versus the Blizzaks, that might be the choice that you want to make. Now, I will also say that there are new tires hitting the market now called all-weather tires that supposedly are pretty good in the snow, good enough that you're going to have better traction versus a standard all-season. I personally haven't tested any of them. A lot of them are 3-Peak Mountain Snowflake certified, so that does mean that they do have winter capabilities. So for a lot of you, it might just make more sense to just have one tire that you keep on the car all year. I know a lot of you with Ioniq 5 might be getting ready to start thinking about tires pretty soon. So you might be looking now that we're going into winter, do I want winter tires? Do I want all weather? You're just going to have to look into it more, because I don't have any experience with those all-weathers. So if range and efficiency is most important to you, the Michelin X-Ice I think are great. So anyway, guys, that's going to do it for today's video. If you did like it, give it a thumbs up. Consider becoming a channel member if you want to help support this channel. I just unlocked a new level called Eco Mode. It's only 99 cents per month. This level is if you just purely want to help support the channel. For $3 per month, there's normal mode. You'll get early access to all of my videos. You'll also get a 5% discount on anything in my store. And then for $10 per month, you get everything from the lower two levels, as well as 25% off anything from my store. I really appreciate all my channel members. You guys are awesome. So thank you for all your monthly contributions to the Ioniq Guy. So huge shout out to all of you. And as always, I will see you guys in the next one. Take care, everybody.